This
anyone?
conference will now be recorded.
No
Any other?
questions, Ram.
Okay. So morning I was talking about. So this do get method will be called. So it means when the request is sent from the browser, the request when the request comes to the server, the web container present inside the server will handle the request. The way it handles the request is it will refer the web.xml file, and in the web.xml file it will check the URL pattern. For that URL pattern, what is the name that is registered? For that name, what is the servlet class? It will find the servlet class, then it will create the object of that class, and on that object it will call the do get method or do post method. So if it is a get request, it will call the do get method. If it is a post request, it will call the do post method. So this is what it will do, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if you don't specify what is, for example, let me start the server here. Server is already started. I did not stop it from morning. That's okay. So now http colon localhost port number 8090 slash login.html. So this is the request I'm sending to the server. This is the request I'm sending to the server. What type of request it is? Is it a get request or post request?
Get only.
Get.
Because I'm sending this URL. This is the URL I'm sending to the server. I'm sending from the browser. When I click enter, the request will go to the server, correct?
Yes.
So that is a get request because I did not specify what request it is. One request went and I will get the response for that request. So what response I'll get? This is the response. I'm sorry. What happened? I get double colon, 2 times colon, right? That's the reason it is going to Google search. http colon localhost port number 8090 slash, yeah. So when I send this request to the server, I got this particular response. I got the login.html. Whatever the content that is present inside the login.html, that content is sent from the server, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So now when I enter
Yes.
username as some username and password as some password, and when I click login, one more request will go to the server, right? Already I sent one request
Yes.
and I got the response already, correct?
Yes.
Now when I click on login button, will there be one more request or not?
Yes, Ramji.
Yes.
So what type of request it is? What request it is?
Post.
Do get.
Post only.
Post request. It's a HTTP get request or HTTP post request. You're sending a HTTP request. There are two types of HTTP request: get request or post request. You can either send a HTTP get or you can either send a HTTP post. So if you specify method equal to post, the post request will be sent to the server, correct?
Correct.
Because you're submitting the form. You're entering the username, you're entering the password. When you click on submit, this is the action. After the context path, slash first will be appended, and one request URL is constructed, and that request will go to the server. So the request is a post request. So click login. So this is the request went to the server. If it is a post request, you cannot see the request parameters in the URL. The request parameters will not be appended to the URL. What is meant by request parameters? Whatever the parameters you are sending along with the request, you are sending the username parameter and you are sending the password parameter, correct?
Yeah.
So those two parameters are going along with the request. Those two parameters are going along with the request, but those parameters are going inside the request body, not in the request URL, because every HTTP request contains a URL plus body, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So request header plus request body. The header portion contains the URL. The body portion contains the parameters in case of HTTP post. Okay. This is what I told in the morning class. Did you people go through that or not?
Yes, Ramji.
Yes, Ramji.
So when I send the HTTP post request, the do post method is called in the my servlet class because this particular servlet is identified for this particular URL pattern. For this URL pattern, when the request is sent to the server, for this URL pattern, the servlet that is identified is my servlet, correct? The web container identifies this particular servlet, correct? From the
Yes.
web.xml file, because for this URL pattern, this is the servlet class that needs to be called, because for this URL pattern, this is the name, for this name, this is the class, correct?
Yes.
So now inside the my servlet, the do post method is called. That's why you're getting inside do post method. Okay, let me clear all these logs. I cleared all the logs. I'll send the request again. I'll send the request again. Username is something and password is something. Click login. So one more request is sent to the server. Go and check. You can see the inside do post because the do post method is called. Any questions here?
No.
So similarly, when I go to the login.html, when I say method equal to get, method equal to get, so it is already synchronized. The what are the changes I made in the code that is already published to the server, that is already published and synchronized to the server. So now let me go and go back, and when I say login.html, I got login.html, and when I enter some data, and when I click login, now the request is a along with the request, the parameters are also sent along with the request URL, along with the request URL, along with the those parameters are appended to the URL. Those parameters are appended to the URL. So this is the URL. For this URL, these are the you are appending the parameters by using the question mark, correct?
Yes.
So this is the parameter name and this is the parameter value. This is the parameter name, this is the parameter value. So why this is the parameter name? Because if you look at the HTML code, you set that input type equal text name equal to username. So this is the name of the field, correct? So this is the name of the parameter. Whatever the value that you enter into this field, that is the value, and this is the parameter name, correct? This is the name of the parameter, and whatever the value you enter into that field, that is the value of the parameter, correct? So username is the name of the parameter, and value is the value that you enter in the text field. Any questions here?
No, Ramji.
So if you specify name equal to Ramji here, you will get Ramji equal to whatever the value entered in the field. Whatever the name you specify here, that is the name of the parameter. Okay. So this is the first parameter, and this is the second parameter name. This is the first parameter name. This is the second parameter name. Password equal to. So check. This is the second parameter. Password equal to. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So morning I told that one second. Yeah. Okay. So morning I told that container will create HTTP servlet request object and HTTP servlet response object and pass those two objects to the do get method or the do post method. Correct. Do post method is also a two argument method. Correct.
Yes.
When container is calling the do get method or do post, because this method is who is calling this method. So who is creating the object of this class? Web container is creating the object of this class, and on that object web container is calling this method. Correct.
Yes.
When it is calling this method, it has to supply the request object and it has to supply the response object. Correct.
Yes.
It means the request object has to be constructed and that object has to be passed to this variable. The response object has to be constructed and that object has to be passed to this variable. Correct.
Yes.
So that's what I told this morning. So please refer the recording if you don't refer that. So before calling the do get method, container will create HTTP servlet request object and HTTP servlet response object and pass those two objects to these two variables. Correct. So what container will do here is it will create the request HTTP servlet request object. Right now this object is a empty object. This object does not have any values. Just now it created the object. New how it will create the object? just by writing this code. New HTTP container will write this code. You are not writing this code. Container will create the object by using this code. Correct? Correct?
Yes.
So when the container created the object of this class, HTTP servlet request class, when it created the object of this class, this is an empty object right now. Now what it will do is, for this object, it will set the parameters. There is a method called set parameter method. It will call that method on this object. On this object, it will call the dot set parameter. Okay. And what are the parameters you sent in the request? What are the parameters you sent in the request? So those parameters will be set. The parameter name is username, and parameter value is whatever the value you entered. Maybe this is the value you entered. This is the user. This is the value that you entered. So whatever the parameter values, you are sending along with the request. Along with the request, you are sending some parameter values. Agreed? So what container will do is, container will create the request object. In that request object, it will set the parameters. Then it will pass that object to this doGet method. So before calling the doGet method, it will create the request object and set all the parameters in this object. The first parameter, username, come, and again it will call the dot set parameter method. I hope everyone understood this.
Yes, Ramji.
Yes, Ramji.
What container will do is, it will create object for HTTP servlet request class. It will create the object for this class, and it will refer this object with HTTP servlet request variable obj equal to rs or equal to whatever the variable name, or equal to. Now what will do is request dot set parameter, and will set the parameter name and parameter value. Whatever the value that is coming in the request, whatever the parameter name that is coming in the request, and whatever the parameter value that is coming in the request. So those values it will capture, and it will call the set parameter method and pass these two arguments, because set parameter method is expecting two arguments. Okay. There is a method called set parameter. This method is present inside this class. Inside this class, there is a method called set parameter. Okay.
Okay.
All these classes are predefined classes. I did not write these classes. Those classes have some methods. So this particular method is expecting two arguments. So I'm passing the two arguments. I'm passing. Container will pass the two arguments. Correct?
Yes.
Because container is writing all this code. I am not writing this code. Container is writing all this code. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So it will pass the parameter name and parameter value, something like this. So now for it created the request object, and it set all the parameters in the request object. Now this object has two parameters. The first parameter is name is this, first parameter value is this, second parameter name is this, and second parameter value is this. Every time it calls the set parameter, so the parameters will be set in the request object. Correct? So now what it will do is, it will pass this request object into this variable. This particular request object will be passed into this response object, variable. Into this variable, it will pass this empty response, because it created a HTTP servlet request object. It also created a HTTP servlet response object. Both the objects it created, but it populated the request object with the values, but response object is the empty object. Correct?
Yes.
Right. Initially these two objects are empty objects. Now in this object it populated the values. Correct? Values are populated, the parameters are populated. Correct?
Yes.
But response object is empty object, so it will pass the empty object into this variable. So this particular variable has an empty object, and this particular variable has a request object with the parameters. Correct? And this particular variable has a response object. It does not have anything. Correct?
Yeah.
So if you look here, so when this by the time this method is called, who is calling this method? Container is calling this method. Container is creating the object of this class and calling this method on that object. So by the time this method is called, already request object is created and response object is created, and request object is already populated with the parameters. Correct? So now this request variable is, by the time this method is called, the request when this method is called, this variable contains an object with the parameters. Correct?
Yeah.
Now I can capture those parameters. Request dot, this is the variable name, this is the variable name, this variable contains the object, correct?
Yes.
So because container is passing the object to this variable while calling this method. So request dot
Get.
get parameter, because already parameters are set, correct? Now I'm getting the parameter. What is the parameter name? Parameter name is username. This is the name of the parameter. So what is the value for this parameter? See, there's a method called get parameter. It returns a string. The return type is string. So you can catch the value in the string variable. So string, the variable name you can give anything. Maybe I'll give the variable name as username. You can give any variable name, correct? In Java, you can give variable name as anything, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you supply the parameter name, because get parameter is expecting one argument, one string argument. When you supply the string argument, the return type is string. This is the method signature. So you have to give the parameter name, then it will give the parameter value. This get parameter will, because already the parameters are set. Already parameters are set. For this parameter name, this is the parameter value that is already set. Who set those values? Container set those values, correct?
Yes.
Now, what are the values set by the container? You are getting those values by calling the get parameter method. So set parameter method is not called by you. Set parameter method is called by the container. But you are calling the get parameter method and you are getting the value. So now this username variable contains a value that is passed along with the request. Any questions? Any questions?
No, no, no.
So string password equal to request dot get parameter of, what is the name of the parameter? Go to the HTML file.
Password.
Of the parameter, everything is in lowercase, correct? So request dot, because that is the parameter name coming along with the request, correct? When you click on submit. So password. So now what I'll do is sysout, I'll just print it. The username is username. See, it's a simple Java class, nothing else. The servlet is nothing but a Java class. It has some methods. So that methods are, this is a 2-argument method, and you're writing some code inside the method, just like a Java class, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So the password is password. So same code I'll write it in the HTTP post also. Okay. So let it republish. Yeah, it republished the thing. What are the changes I made in the code that is already published to the server. So whenever you see the change in the logs, it means it is reloading the context. It is what are the changes you made. It is it is updating those changes in the server. Getting it? Getting it? Because earlier you have to again export a new latest war file and all those things, correct?
Yeah.
But right now, because you configured the Tomcat server in the Eclipse, what are the changes you made in Java files and what are the changes you made in HTML files? Those changes will be automatically published to the server. Again, you need not export the war file, latest war file, and again deploy. Don't require all those steps. So what are the changes you're making in the code? You're making in the Eclipse. Those changes are published to the server. Getting it?
Yes.
So it will reload the reloading the context is completed. It means the changes are reloaded. The changes are applied. Getting it?
Yeah.
I hope everyone is following. Please ask me some questions if you have any doubts. Don't remain calm. Any questions?
No, Ramji.
Okay. So now, what I'll do is in the login.html right now I have a get request, correct? So let me send a first let me send one request to the server. What request I'm sending? I'm sending a get request. I'm requesting for a login.html. When I don't specify what request it is, it's a get request. So for the get request, I got the response. Now when I enter some username, Ramji, and password Java, so click login. So the parameter, the username equal to Ramji and password equal to Java. These parameters are sent along with the request URL, correct? Now this request went to the server. In the server, web container handles the request. It checks the web.xml for this particular URL. For this particular URL, my servlet is the class, so it created the object of that class, and it called the doGet method because you're sending a get request. So it will call the doGet method. While calling the doGet method, it has to pass the request object and response object. So it created the request object and it created the response object, and the request object is populated with the parameters because these are the parameters sent along with the request. So these parameters are populated in the request object, correct? Now request object is representing the request that you sent from the browser. The request object is representing the request, correct?
Yeah.
So because whatever the request you sent from the browser, that entire request is present in the object now. The container created an object, and in that object it kept whatever the request you sent, the entire thing is kept inside the object. The request object is representing the request sent from the browser. Any questions? Web container created because in Java everything is object. Suppose if you are sending some request means, so the web container created the request object. In that request object, it is populating the entire data that you sent in the request. Any questions here?
Ramji, if we have not only two parameters, multiple like 10, 20 parameters, then how it will come?
Yeah, all these parameters will be appended to the URL. So user first parameter 1 equal to first value, parameter 2 equal to second value, parameter 3 equal to third value, parameter 4 equal to fourth value. So that is how all the parameters will be appended to the URL. But there is some limitation to the URL. So the URL length cannot be greater than 80 characters. The URL length cannot be greater than 80 characters. Okay. So if you have a lot of parameters and the length of the URL is crossing the 80 characters means, then you have to use a HTTP post request instead of HTTP get request. Because inside the post request, the parameters are not appended to the URL, they will be inside the body. Then the URL length is not greater than 80, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so don't worry about those limitations. So just try to understand the concept first. So if you have 10 parameters, all those 10 parameters will be appended to the URL. Right now there are two parameters are appended to the URL. Username parameter and its value, and password parameter and its value. And if you have another parameter, that parameter and that value, another parameter and another value, in between ampersand. Each and every parameter is separated by ampersand. Getting it? Each and every parameter is separated by ampersand. If you observe here.
Yes.
Got it, Pavni?
Yes, Ramji.
Yeah, what's your question here? I think you still have some question here.
No, Ramji. I'm fine.
Okay. So now if you look because that you sent a get request, so the doGet method in the my servlet is called, and the request object is already populated with the parameters. Now when this method is called, this logic will be executed. So request.get parameter, you are calling username, so you're capturing that username value and printing the username value. The username is Ramji, it is getting printed, correct? And the password is Java, it is getting printed here. It means you are capturing the data from the input. You're capturing the data given by the user. You're capturing the data given by the user on the screen in your laptop. You enter the data in the Facebook page. Okay, the request will go to the Facebook server, and Facebook server will capture the request data. Getting it? So the Facebook application is deployed in a Tomcat server, and that server is present inside the data center of the Facebook, correct?
Yes.
So I did not have Facebook server in my laptop. Facebook server is present in the data center of the Facebook company, correct? Every company will have its own data center where they maintain the servers, correct? Where they maintain all the missions, and those missions have the servers installed, correct?
Yes, Ram.
So when you send the request from your laptop, www.facebook.com, maybe the Facebook server might be present in Germany, or it might present in Europe, or it might present in somewhere else. It might present in Canada or Italy or wherever it is. The server, we don't know where the Facebook server is present, but when you send the request will reach the Facebook server, correct? And inside the Facebook server there is a servlet which can handle this request. I mean, there is a web container which handles the request and redirect this request to a corresponding servlet, correct? First it will identify what is the servlet which can handle this request, so it will identify the servlet. Now it will create the object of the servlet and call the doGet method or doPost method, correct? Getting it? And in the doGet method they have a logic to capture the input given by you. Whatever the username you gave and whatever the password you gave, they'll capture that input values in the servlet. Agreed? By using request.get parameter, correct? Getting it? So because this is the let us assume that this is the Facebook application and this application is present inside a server. I sent a request from a browser. Now the servlet, the Facebook servlet is called, correct?
Yes.
All these things are happening in the Facebook server, correct? The request is sent from the browser. The request went to the server. Inside the server, there is a web container which handles the request, refers the web.xml, finds the URL pattern, and finds the matching servlet, and it will go and create the object for the servlet and call the doGet method on that object and pass the request object and response object. So request object is already constructed and response object is already constructed and request object is already populated with the parameters, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So now it is the Facebook developers has written a logic here. This is the Facebook application. They have written this servlet. They have written this servlet and they have written this logic. Correct? This servlet is written by the Facebook people. Correct? That's what I'm saying. This is a Facebook. If you assume this is a Facebook application, so this particular servlet is written by the Facebook developers, and this logic is written by the Facebook developers. So they're capturing the username and they're capturing the password, and now they will write a JDBC logic or Hibernate logic or whatever logic to connect to database. You can write a JDBC logic here to connect to the database and validate whether this username is password are correct or not. Getting it? All that logic will be here. It's a Java logic. It's simple Java logic. Whatever the JDBC logic you have learned earlier. So the batch 3, don't worry about what is JDBC logic. So that logic is to connect to the database. You can write a Java logic to connect to the database. So the other two batches know about JDBC logic. So you can write a Java logic to connect to the database and validate this username and password. If it is a valid username and password, then you will send the response. How to send the response, I'll talk about it. Getting it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So did you get some high level picture now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, tell me. Someone called me.
Yes, Ramji.
Who's this?
Can we hide the username and password in the link also generally?
So generally, the sensitive information, the password is a very sensitive information, right? Password is a very, because if someone see your password, they can do anything in your application, right? They can do anything in your account, correct?
Yes.
So generally, the sensitive information should not be sent in the URL. So you don't worry about the guidelines. We are not learning about the guidelines and we are not learning about the preventive measures. We are learning the concept now. So whether to send the password in the request or not, all those things are beyond the boundary. So don't go to that level. Okay. So whether we can send the password in the URL or not, that's not the topic here. So because how to send some data to the server along with the request. So in case if you want to send a password, generally you have to use the HTTP post request, because the post request, the URL, the parameters are not appended, right? Getting it? If you have to send the password information to the server, don't send a GET request. If you send a GET request, the parameters are appended to the URL. Anyone can see in the browser, correct? Because this particular request is traveling via network through internet. This request will reach the server in Germany. Suppose if you assume that the server is installed in Germany, the server is present in Germany, and you are in US. From your browser, when you send a request, so this request will go to the server via network. You need a internet in between, right? You need a internet connection, correct?
Yeah.
You need a network in between. Without network, you cannot send some request to a server that is present in remote location, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if the request is traveling through network, so anyone can hack the data from the network. So people can hack the data from the network. Whatever the data that is flowing through network, whatever the data that is flowing through network, okay, so people can hack the data. The hackers can steal the data from the network. Whatever the data that is flowing through network, they can steal the data and they can see your password if the password is appended to the URL, correct?
Yes.
So password should not be appended to the URL. If it is appended to the URL, it is clearly visible what is your password, correct? So the sensitive information should never be sent in the GET request. It should be sent in the POST request. And that's not our topic now, because our topic is how to send the request. That is the first topic, how to send the request to the server. So you're sending the request parameters along with the request, and on the server side you're capturing the data, correct?
Yes.
I hope everyone understood this.
Yes.
Yes, Ram.
Okay. So now you capture the data, and now username variable contains the value of that username, that is Ramji. That's what you're printing. The username is so when you print, the username is username and password is password, correct? So it is printing username is Ramji and password is Java. Any questions here?
No, Ram.
Okay. So now if you look at any website, so for example, when you click on customer service, this is the URL, that this is the request that is sent to the server. This is the request that is sent to the server, correct? Are there any parameters sent along with the request?
No.
No.
Actually, you don't know, because you don't know whether it's a GET request or POST request. If it is a POST request, that will be inside the body. You cannot see the body, right?
Yes.
But generally this is a GET request. I know that, because there is nothing, because it's just clicking on help, nothing else. You're not sending any parameter, you're not sending any data along, you're not entering anything, right? You're not entering username, you're not entering your password, you're not entering your gender, you're not entering anything, you're not sending any data, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's definitely a GET request. So this is the request that is went to the server. When you click on commercial, this is the request that is went to the server, correct? Agreed? And when you click on sign on, this is the request that is went to the server. This is the request that is went to the server. So there's a question mark here. It means you are sending some parameters, correct? Agreed?
Yes.
There's a question mark here. The parameter name is type, and this is the parameter value. There's a ampersand in between, correct? This is the second parameter name, and this is the second parameter value. There's a ampersand in between, correct? This is the third parameter name, and there is no value for that. They are not sending any value for this parameter. So equal to, there is nothing. Again there is a ampersand. It means that is the fourth. Now it is now the fourth parameter is starting, correct?
Yes.
So between every parameter there is a ampersand. The parameters are separated by ampersand character, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
Ram.
Yeah.
Hold on. So this is another parameter, and yeah, you can go and navigate any website, not only Wells Fargo. You go and check any website now. You can check the URL now. That is the request going to the server. You are sending some parameters. For example, so when you send some company ID and user ID and password, when you click sign on, one request will go to the server. So this is the request went to the server, correct? I mean, don't worry about this. There are so many things happen in between. That's okay. This is not the right example. 1 second. For example, password reset tutorial. Continue. This is the request that is going to the server. Okay, anyways, you can go and observe how the request is go. So every time you click something, every time you send some request, that request will go to the server and you'll get a response. I hope everyone understands that concept first.
Yes.
Yes.
So now let us see how to send the response, because now you know how to send the request and capture the data from the request on the server side. So this is a server side program. Servlet is a server side program, right? Because this servlet, this web application is present inside the server. The web application contains the servlets, correct?
Yes.
So this is a server side program. From the browser, I'm sending a request to the server, and the server side program is getting a, this is a backend program, correct? From the front end, I'm sending some data. From in the back end, I'm capturing the data. Agreed?
Yes, Ram.
Yes.
Okay. So now,
Ramji.
sorry, any questions? Okay. So if no questions, now I told that this response variable contains empty response. That right now that response variable contains the response object. That response object does not contain any data, correct?
Yes.
So request variable contains a request object. The request object has some data. The parameters are populated already by the time this method is called. By the time this method is called, this variable contains a object, and I mean that object contains the data already. The data is already extracted. Now let us see response. Response dot getWriter. So call a method called getWriter. So on the response object, there is a method called getWriter. When you call the getWriter method, you'll get a printWriter object. You'll get it when you call the getWriter. This is the object you'll get, printWriter object. Control 1, essence statement in new local variable, printWriter object. So you're catching that object in the printWriter variable. So let us try to understand what is the meaning of this. So so this is the client and this is the server. So from the browser is the client and server is the Tomcat server. So now you send the request to the server from the client. Now server has to send the response back to the browser. So it means if it has to send some response, it need a writer object. It need a writer object to write the response, because it has to write the response response data. Whatever the data it has to send along with the response, the data has to be written into the, this is a, it actually will create a stream here. How to view normal view? Okay. So actually, whenever you're sending a request from the client to the server, so there will be some pipe kind of thing, some stream will be created. The request will be sent in this stream, and the response is also sent in the stream. It means it has to write the stream, means, you know, right? It's a pipe kind of thing too, because without any pipe, how the data will flow? It's a network pipe, correct?
Yes.
It's a virtual pipe. It's not a real pipe. It's a virtual pipe. The data will flow through that stream. It's a stream. The stream, through this particular stream, the data will flow, correct? Any questions?
No, Ramji.
So similarly, the response will also flow through that stream. It means the response data has to be written onto the stream. Response data has to be written onto the stream by the server. Server has to write the response onto the stream. Then the response will reach the client. Correct? For writing the response, it need a writer object. So that's why I'm calling response.getWriter. I'll get the printWriter object. Now using this printWriter object, I can write the response. Okay, so pw.println, there's a method called println. So println, there's a method called println which accepts a string.
println void.
One second. This one I want. So println which accepts a string. It can accept a string argument. So I'm sending some response. What response I'll send is I'll specify HTML tag. Okay, this is the response I'm sending. This is the response I'm sending. I'm exactly writing onto the stream because I need a writer object to write the data onto the stream. Whatever the data you write into the stream, the data will reach the client. Correct? That's what I told. This is the stream. This is the stream. In this stream, it has to write some data. Server has to write some data. Then the data will reach the client. Correct?
Yes.
So for writing the data onto the stream, you need a writer object. So that's why I'm creating a print writer object for writing the data onto the stream. So from the response object, when you call the get writer, you get the print writer object. So you're calling println method, and whatever the data you want to write it here. HTML body tag. Okay. So maybe you can say that this is hello username welcome to my website. Okay, welcome to my website. Now welcome to my website. I'll close the body tag. I'll close the HTML tag. Okay, so HTML tag is open, body tag is open, and body tag is closed, and HTML tag is closed. In between I have hello. This username is appended. What are the right now you'll get Ramji. So hello Ramji, welcome to my website. Now string is closed here. Okay, now println method is closed. So println method is opened here and println method is closed here. This println method is expecting a string argument. So I'm passing this entire string. Whatever is present in the double quotes, that is a string, correct? So this particular string I'm appending to this string and I'm appending to this string. Total that string. This is the concatenated string, correct or not?
Yes.
Okay. So that's all. Nothing else. So let me check if the context is reloaded or not. Yeah, context is reloaded. Whatever the changes I made, that is reloaded. Now let me go and hit login.html. So I got login.html Ramji Java. So when you click on login, now I'm getting hello Ramji, welcome to my website. That is the response the servlet sent back. Using the response object, you get the writer object. Now using the writer object, you write the data. Correct?
Yes.
Getting it? For example, if I go back and if I type Java as a username and password as a Java, and when I click login, I'm getting hello Java, welcome to my website. Correct? So the same servlet, correct? I did not write multiple servlets here. There is only one servlet. So whatever the request you're sending, what is the username you're sending, it is capturing that username. And if you're sending Java, hello Java. If you're sending Ramji, hello Ramji. Correct? Agreed?
Yes.
Yes.
So don't you see the dynamic nature here? Because it is not sending the static content every time. But if it is a HTML page, whatever is there in the HTML, the same thing you'll get it. You don't get a dynamic thing. So when you log in, when you are logging in, you're getting your name, hello Ramji. When other person log in, so hello Java, hello ABC, hello DEF, whichever the person is logging in, so that particular person name is coming on the website, hello Ramji, correct? So this particular servlet is able to generate the dynamic web page. Agreed? Because I'm sending this entire data onto the I'm sending the HTML only. I'm sending the HTML only, but it's not a static content. It's a dynamic content because this is as part of the this servlet is constructing the HTML based on the user input. Based on the user input, servlet is constructing the HTML. That HTML is sent to the browser. Browser understands the HTML language, so it is rendering the data on the screen. Correct? Confused?
No,
What
Raj.
is the confusion here? Please speak out fastly. I don't have time. My kids are crying already.
No, Ramji.
Any question?
No, Ramji.
No.
Okay, so anyways, tomorrow I'll explain this topic again. So I'll maybe first 10-15 minutes I will explain with various examples. Maybe 30 minutes I'll explain with various examples, and I'll make sure that you understand what is a servlet. Then we'll try to learn the advanced concepts in servlet. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So please go through this recording if possible. If not possible, so after tomorrow's morning class, please go through the recording before coming to the evening class. And tomorrow we have a class at same time, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Please join on time. So 8 to 9:30. Okay. Tomorrow morning we have a class 8 to 9:30. Okay.
Yes, Ramji.
Yeah. Bye. Bye everyone.
Bye.